Okay, we're up and live and welcome aboard everybody. And December the 2nd. Woo! That means Christmas isn't too far away. I gotta get the wrapping paper out. First I need something to wrap, so I need to get those first. Uh but anyway, yes, you want to get something for Christmas, there's actually a new broom out there. It's sweeping the country. So that was my best one for the night. So I'm not getting good inspiration here. You have anything you want to say now, Renee, or are you going to wait?
Don't expect perfection from geologists. They all have their faults.
Oh no, she's been on that Google page again.
Oh, was there something you wanted me to say?
No, no, I just want to welcome everybody aboard and say we have a great program which we want to get into soon. So I'm going to start. Actually, I'm going to start the our intro because I have a story to tell you, and there's some other things buried in here that you need to know tonight. So as you know, we always keep track of our episode numbers, and we're up to 157. And if I didn't say it last time, I think I did, but just a reminder for a Christmas present for somebody, you want to buy Dexter the Dog cartoon books. They are out available. The owner of Dexter that we talked to on the 150th show in August let me know that they are available for sale wherever you can buy books, online, uh, or wherever. So this is episode 157 tonight. Always presented by, sponsored by Lair Architect in Lake Havasu City. And of course, my co host, Renee Widener, uh, always, uh, always standing by. And for our holiday season, I asked you to email lairarchitect@yahoo.com and thank Paul and Marcella Lair, pictured here. And that's a new picture that I actually had in the inventory when we were in Arizona. And wish them a great holiday season, and of course, thank them for their continuing sponsorship for the Zoom Rock Room. So you all can do this, and we can do it like free of charge, sort of thing. Oh, Buttonwood Nature Center, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. Uh, they're covered with snow. I saw Greencastle had 3 inches of snow today, so I'm sure Waynesboro isn't far behind there. So lots going on at their new property since the bridge is open and they're able to get into the property. And I know they're doing a fundraiser for a ATV to get around the property. They're looking for donations. They want to buy a $20,000 ATV to get around the acreage that they have. Some of that's quite hilly, by the way. And put on your calendar the winter solstice celebration coming up December 21st, 5 to 7 p.m. at Red Run Park, which is right on Route 116 as you come down off the mountain heading into Wayne Heights and Waynesboro. So you can always check out their programs on their Facebook or buttonwoodnaturecenter.org for all their exciting stuff that's going on. Retro Rocks, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Mr. Steve Hess in the east in the west end of Lancaster, Columbia Avenue. Always updating materials with records and rocks, minerals, fossils. Here's like both in the same picture, the dinosaurs in the front and the old record albums. Any speed that you want to remember are sold there. And as Renee said before we went on the air, Steve just got these plant fossils in from Utah, uh, hot on the shelf right now. And if you like candles, for the holiday season, to light candles and make the house smell all kind of good, uh, they're selling all kind of different smelly candles at Retro Rocks. So stop in and tell them that you've heard about Retro Rocks on the Zoom Rock Room, and Steve will appreciate that. The schedule coming up next time we see you in 2 weeks, that's going to be our annual Christmas party. So we encourage you all to maybe dress up in a holiday fashion to appear on Zoom. Okay, and Renee and I will have some fun stuff to do uh, for you to celebrate the Christmas season and the holiday season because we won't see you until after the new year. So come prepared for that December 16th. Uh, January 6th, giving our academic and professionals off, I'll do the York County geology program. January 20th is still up in the air. I have a couple of ideas. And February 3rd already, Andre Weltman from the Pine Grove State Park, Friends of Pine Grove State Park. We'll be talking about the scars on the landscape, remnants of the charcoal iron industry in the Pine Grove Furnace State Park and Michaux State Forest. Andre's the man when you want to talk to somebody about Pine Grove and Michaux area. Very, very educated. And we do have some other things in the works. As I mentioned, we're going to be starting to photograph a stone stone axe collection. According to the owner of the artifacts, they're some of the oldest in the world, dating back 30,000 years. We're going to be doing um, we're going to photograph his artifacts so we can put together a PowerPoint for him to do. And there's actually a fossil illustrator who's also preparing a PowerPoint, who's a extremely great artist for drawing trilobites. In fact, they're going to be working on a book of his drawings. So a couple of things in the works for 2026. Christmas magic at Rocky Ridge Park. Some of you know I was involved in that as the leader of that for 26 years, and I've been involved in all the years of it since it started in 1984. And that's going on at Rocky Ridge Park. You do need to buy tickets ahead of time. You cannot just show up and get tickets there. So you go online, actually to christmasmagicyyork.org to get your tickets. They are closed tonight because of the weather, uh, but they'll reopen tomorrow night, and hopefully the weather will stay fairly nice, although it's going to be a little cold. But anyway, Christmas Magic's going on. A great place to take your family and check out all the lights along the half-mile long walking trail. It's either paved or stoned along the way. It's a very easy walking trail to go through. We do have heat in some open air pavilions, along with the train and food. Your county history storytellers night coming up actually a week from this coming Thursday. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, if you're in the York area, this is always a fun evening. Six storytellers, historians in York County will be telling two stories. A good thing that happened in York County, a bad thing that happened in York County in the last 250 years, and they throw in a geologist to kind of break up the monotony of history. So next Thursday at 6:30 at the York County History Center in downtown York. $10 is the admission fee. Again, you need to have your tickets ahead of time through the yorkhistorycenter.org. Uh, it's always a fun time. Oh yeah, we do have starting tonight. We have a brand new feature tonight, and we're going to call it without anything else that we can call it. We're going to call it Renee's Report. Look at some of the outstanding things that are hitting the news airways, or maybe in this case tonight, did not hit the news airways very much. You got
Well, I
Renee.
did I did not expect that. I don't know if this week's as exciting as the butt drag fossils from last time. That was too much fun.
There we go. That's
But
true.
they did have some seismic activity up in State College back on the 12th when one of their new liberal science buildings shifted, and actually part of it dropped 2 inches. They're still trying to figure out why. They're calling it structural fault, whether it was that or a sinkhole or who knows what, but it did actually show up as a micro earthquake on the seismographs at the neighboring building where they run all that. And I thought that was kind of interesting that a building shift. It had to be terrifying to the people in the buildings. They said it sounded like an explosion and that everything shook, and apparently doors aren't opening and closing right anymore. And well, if you were allowed in, you would know that, but no one's allowed in it at this point. So they're still trying to figure it out. But just kind of neat that it registered as a micro earthquake. Actually, their Millennial Science building up there that they built a few years back, they have they built it specially so that it doesn't register those things. There's rooms in the basement that are quiet labs that are vibration free because they were having issues with the football games when they scored a touchdown,
Oh,
would cause it to register as a little mini earthquake and would disrupt some of the lab equipment and things going on. So they actually designed the new science building to eliminate some of that in parts of the building. Thought that was kind of smart on their part. And yay, Penn State fans for being loud enough to show up as an earthquake.
oh, huh. That's cool. And this was a brand new building. It just opened on October 27th.
Yeah.
7-story building. I heard about this because I know the father of a daughter that works in the building, and I did not know anything about it until I was talking to Dad the other night about something else, and he just, oh, by the way, did you hear about the building at Penn State? Because it hasn't been on the news at all. It's kind of interesting that it's been uh, been kind of covered over. But yeah, he told me, and she said it sounded like a bomb going off when it did happen. So uh, Renee's on top of it. Okay, is that it for you, Renee?
I think so.
Oh,
Not
yeah,
an exciting week in the geology world.
no more butt drag fossils or anything. Okay.
That was just too much. I don't think I'm ever going to top the butt drag fossil. That was awesome.
Oh,
Sim's probably like, what is she talking about? Hey,
okay. I'm gonna go back here for a minute to Christmas Magic. I have a story to tell you. Because you might run into the same situation if you're setting up decorations at home, sort of thing. But one year at Christmas Magic, uh, we had a system called Lightorama. It's a it's a computer program that somebody has to build for you that plays music, and the lights are synchronized to the music. And my wife volunteered to do the program, which she's a musician, but she did the program, and basically this was a trail that was about 700 feet long, had like 16 trees, 8 trees on each side, and each tree had like um, 3 different colors of lights on the tree. And then we had other props along the trail hooked into this. So all in all, it was like 8 times 16, like 125 circuits that had to be that had to be told what to do every basically every tenth of a second. Am I supposed to be on or off? And that's what my wife had to program. Well, and we have to use extension cords to these lights, to match the program. So we wired up. I had a small crew of people that had helped before with the Lightorama. They kind of knew they kind of knew the trick to the trade. And we got all wired up, and I fired it up one night, and I had one tree that was not working. Everything else was working really well, and this one tree just would not work. And I talked to Laterama people a couple times trying to troubleshoot the problem, and they said, "Well, check this, check that, do this, do that." I was doing all that, didn't find a problem, and the director was getting a little nervous because now it was like 3 or 4 days before we opened, and she said, "Why don't we just drop Lightorama and just turn them all orange solid?" And I said, "No, I'm not to that point yet, you know." And so I lost a couple nights sleep over it because came home and I stayed up all night trying to figure out what do I do next. And I got the idea. Maybe it's a problem with an extension cord, a simple extension cord. So I switch out the extension cord to that tree. And guess what? It worked. I was elated. I could solve any problem in the world at that point. Like a simple extension cord was screwing my whole thing up. And so it got working and it worked all whole way through the show. So anyway, you got something that's not working right, change out the extension cord. That's my professional advice from working at Christmas Magic for 26 years. So, okay. Uh anyway, so anybody's been out deer hunting, we hope you've had a good season so far, maybe. Or if you're still out there looking for your trophy. There's no hunters in my family. I grew up in a family that had actually had no hunters at all, even generations ago. So I have friends who have been out there and have gotten lucky with a buck. So anyway, all right. You have anything before we go to our program, Renee?
I don't believe we do. I do. I'm
Okay.
excited though. Sim did a program for us state park educators a few months ago, and he did a wonderful job. That might be why Jerry ended up reaching out to him. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I was going to give you credit because you're the one that actually told me about Sim and the program. So it all goes to Renee. She gets a bonus in her paycheck next month. So Simeon Suter, he's a PG, is a retired geologist with over 4 decades of experience. And Sim's last tour of duty was with the Pennsylvania Geologic Survey, leading the groundwater and environmental geology section. His practice areas have focused on hydrogeology, environmental science, and geologic hazards. His bride of 42 years, they reside in Lancaster County. They have 2 adult children and 2 cats. He's a life member of the Harrisburg Area Geological Society and has frequently served as a judge at science fairs in other contexts. He has presented on business ethics, environmental professional training, and geology at conferences, state parks, and universities. So, in an intro into the program tonight, he writes that Pennsylvania geology is characterized by a variety of rock types. The Commonwealth's landscape has been shaped by mountain building events, erosion, and glacial activity, resulting in diverse landforms and geologic features. And one of the most interesting landforms is the waterfall. So come join in on this light conversation about waterfalls in Pennsylvania. So, Sim, we welcome you aboard. Thanks for coming in to do this program tonight. I said it's been a one I've been wanting to hear for a little while. So it's all yours if you want to share the screen and
Yeah, we'll have to. How do I share that?
go down to the green share button at the bottom
Yeah.
and click on
Oh,
share.
there
Then
it is. There it is. Share.
There you go.
Now we'll do this.
There you go. And then
How do I
slice.
make it a show? There we go. All right.
There you go. And now you're ready.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I have to admit, I was tickled when I got your email, and I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity, particularly uh, doing something that's indoors. Um, I spent most of the morning outdoors, and then got snowed on, and decided that white-tailed deer is not important right now. So I came back in and tried to dry everything out. Um, and so, how this talk began, excuse me, um, oh, quite a few years ago, one of the state parks called me and asked to give a talk on the geology at their park, and the park had waterfalls. So I mean, like any client, um, beforehand, I got in the car, I drove to the park, sat down in the conference room, we had a meeting, we discussed things, and the environmental educator was quite um, knowledgeable. And I said, well, you could do this yourself. And the response was, no, we want a geologist to do this. So we got started, gave a presentation, and then some of the other parks um, were enamored with the idea of somebody from the Geological Survey coming to their park and talking about their geology. So that has worked out really well. There's probably about 6 or 8 parks that invite me back once a year, um, which has been an awful lot of fun. And yet, this idea of waterfalls, it just seems to attract everybody and anybody. You don't have to be a geologist. You don't have to know a whole lot. There's just something attractive about them. So let's see. Okay. So I went, like most people nowadays, on the internet, and I found this, and I noticed a trend with where these waterfalls are. And hopefully, through this brief talk, we'll piece all those things together. Before I forget, the last time I gave this talk was at the Groundwater Symposium. Um, I don't know if anybody's been there and how frequent you've gone, but when I was with the survey, I was on the committee, and then when I retired, I just keep in touch as a participant. Well, last year they were asking for some speakers, and you know how it goes with texts and emails. I kind of jokingly said, well, I could give a talk on waterfalls. Well, that got me signed up. Um, and it was during the lunch hour. So I thought, good, we're going to make this entertaining and relaxing. Um, all day at the symposium, you're getting facts and figures and details and all these things. Um, just come in, have your lunch, maybe have a piece of pie and coffee, and we'll just have a little entertainment here. Um, so that's what we did. And notice the trend here. I'm just kind of clustering them, but for some of us, we might already start thinking, you already know why those two trends are there, those two locations are there with this trend. And you're probably right, but we'll go through that anyway. Here's the geologic map, map 7 from the survey, and I've circled the exact same spots as before with the waterfalls, um, noting that for the most part we're looking at sedimentary rocks. Um, there's some influence from glaciers. They had a contribution to this. Um, there's a glaciers, and of course, um, when I usually present this at a state park, I'll tell the audience, yeah, we mapped that too. Um, Now the circle on the western side, it's a result of some glacier activity, not so much up in there in the northeast. Um, which, when you talk about glaciers, uh, there were a few of us sitting around talking one day, and this whole deal about metric and English. So One of my friends volunteered this idea. If you want an easy way to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit, instead of doing the math, just remember it this way. 0 is freezing, 10 is not, 20 is nice, and 30 is hot. That seems to stick with you. My brother-in-law lives in Toronto, and it's one of those typical stories, boy goes to college, boy meets girl, falls in love, marries girl. Well, she's from Toronto, so he moved there. And we'd be on the phone, and he would say something like, "Oh yeah, it's 18 degrees today." And while we're on the phone, I'm thinking of looking for a sweater, not considering the fact that 20 is nice when you deal with metric. So if you want to tuck that in your pocket or use it at the next cocktail party, go right ahead. Help yourself. Um, what are waterfalls and how do they happen? So waterfalls are part of a stream. We can measure them in terms of volume, height, width. They're caused by erosion. And then we have this factor of the resistance of the rocks. Some are going to be more resistant than others. For example, sandstone is more resistant than shale. Um, it it is still part of a stream though, and the stream still wants to go um, in the direction that's preferred. But yet there's a change in topography, right? Um, you have to have a steep drop. As a result, there's a plunging pool or a plunge pool that takes place. Doesn't take too much physics or hydraulics to piece that one together. Um, when when I was given this talk at Ricketts Glen State Park, my daughter adopted a girl who came along for the weekend. I guess she was about 14 or so, and she kept nudging me. She wants to go swim in a plunge pool. And I said, "No, you're not going to do that. I'm not going to, mess with this." I was I was still pretty new at being a grandfather. I mean, my daughter adopted this girl at 12 or 14. So I was trying to be, as nice and gentle as possible. But she kept bugging me about playing in a plunge pool. And I said, "Okay, fine, that's it. You're grounded. Go back to the cabin." Um, Now, when I've told that story before, I always ended the story there, and some in the audience thought I was a pretty mean guy. So I said, "No, no, no. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding." But we had to do everything in our power to keep her out of a plunge pool, even explaining the fact that the smooth rocks on the base of that pool, there's some rocks tumbling, there's water splashing about. It's not a hot tub. She was from Syracuse, by the way, so she doesn't know much about the outdoors. Took her to the Atlantic Beach one year. She walked out in the ocean, got knocked over, and immediately came out and never wanted to go into the ocean again. But in any event, this is what I would refer to as the classic picture. Gives you plenty of details. What do you need to know? What does it look like in cross section? Um, for those that are process oriented, I decided to throw this in. The river begins flowing, water flows over the cliff edge. There's an erosion process. Erosion occurs at the cliff edge, formation of a plunge pool. Plunge pool forms at the base, and then water keeps on going, right? Um, Waterfall formation, nice little sequence of pictures here to see how it uh, progresses over time. Um, I think back when I was in school, in lab class, the professor had us calculate how much the wall at Niagara Falls was receding, and I think, and I'd have to look it up again. I think it was like 5 feet a year or something, which really got your attention because you can pull out a tape measure and look at 5 feet and think, "Oh, that's a lot of rock." Um, but there you go. Now, one other time giving this talk, we got to the end, and oftentimes what I'll do is tell the people, now we're at the part of the presentation that I call Stump the Geologist. So you may have questions that I either forgot or don't remember, but go ahead and fire away. Well, there was this middle-aged couple sitting there, and I kind of got a sense that the woman elbowed her husband to ask the question. So he finally straightened up and he says, "Okay, nice talk about waterfalls, but where does the water come from?" Now, immediately I thought, this is a very good question because we have no idea how many people in the audience know this. Oftentimes, you get a dose of earth science, maybe in middle school. I have talked to some students where they get some earth science in high school, but by and large, they often forget and they don't get a sense of what's going on around them. Um, so what I did was the drawing on the right, I tried to gesture for him the water cycle. And I'm thinking in the back of my mind, he's thinking I'm making this up or whatever the case may be. So now I put this in here each and every time. Um, there have been times when I've given this explanation and there have been some chuckles like, what do you mean? They don't know the water cycle? Well, no, unfortunately. Now, of course, the geeks in us, we want to know, inches and percentages and all those things. When do we get, the graph on the left? When do we get more water? When do we get less? Excuse me. So this makes it real easy. I can put it up there, show it to them, and then they can start thinking through those things. Very helpful. There are many types of waterfalls. When we started to put this together, I put a search together and discovered, even though I have 12 listed here, there are many more. Um, and I believe, like I was mentioning to Jerry earlier, I believe a lot of these terms are cultural or local. Um, so we just go with them, right? Um, when the natural gas boom started and people started learning about the name Marcellus, it was a formation underneath Pennsylvania, but yet there's a town called Marcellus. So with this list here, types of waterfalls, plunge. Okay, water descends vertically, losing contact with the bedrock surface. A cascade, water descends in a series of rock steps. Now you could call it stepped, but some people prefer cascade. A chute, a powerful waterfall that forces a lot of water through a narrow vertical opening. And I'm going to show one a little bit later, a picture of one up at Ricketts Glen. A multi-step, a series of waterfalls, one after another, roughly the same size. Well, that could also be a cascade, right? Okay, we'll just go with that. A horsetail, a descending water maintains some contact with bedrock. A punch bowl, water descends a constricted form and then spreads out in a wider pool. A fan, water spreads horizontally as it descends while remaining in contact with bedrock. A cataract, not something to be concerned about when you're 60 years old at the eye doctor appointment. It's one sheer drop over a precipice, cascading. Okay, you might remember or may have heard about the cataracts of the Nile. A block, water descends from a relatively wide stream or river, segmented, distinctly separate flows of water form as it descends. Tiered or staircase. You go through these and some of them just appear kind of redundant, but I believe it's all down to cultural. Someone discovered a location and they picked up a name, the name spread, and here we go. So tiered and water case, water drops in a series of distinct steps or falls. Frozen waterfalls. Yeah, that's a thing. They, even though the water flows every day of the year, it may slow at some point, and next thing you know, it's frozen. um, Go to some places with some creative adolescents, and they might put some dyes in there right before it freezes, and then you have a wonderful um, image that certainly is not natural, but plenty of entertainment with that. The biggest waterfall, I looked it up over there in the Delaware Water Gap. There's Raymond's Kill Falls. I was going to give a presentation over there for a group, and I thought, yeah, I better look this up and make sure because you don't want to offend anybody without recognizing their waterfall, right? 178 feet deep in northeast Pennsylvania. Um, nice, nice area to go visit. Oh, a few of our state parks have waterfalls. If you haven't been there, I would say, plan your next trip, maybe this spring or summer. Some of these are just terrific. They're breathtaking. Um, yes, I get up to Leonard Harrison State Park, Colton Point, which is famously known as the Pennsylvania Grand Canyon. Um, those of us that are talking, we call it the Pine Creek Gorge, but um, some nice waterfalls there. Lots of hikers enjoy that. Of course, there's Ricketts Glen, Salt Spring. You Ohio Pile is quite an impressive park. Jim Shawless used to work at the Geological Survey. I think he spent the latter half of his career at that park. They went and built a visitor center with him on the committee and the staff, and just a terrific place to go. Um, so why don't we go to the field, even though it's probably still below freezing outside? We can do this virtually indoors, and we'll go to one of the parks that I visit every year, Ricketts Glen. There are 22 named waterfalls there. Rhiannon Summers is the environmental educator, and I all but promised her I want to get one of the unnamed falls named after her, just to be kind of humorous with that. Maybe we'll get it, maybe not. Types of waterfalls. Let's go with the simple version. Okay, the Cascade or the Wedding Cake. FL Ricketts Falls, 38 feet. Um, there's my little location arrow where you can find it. The Plunge or the Ledge. I enjoyed this one, excuse me, so much that I have it on my desktop. Oneida Falls, 12 feet high. Um, and then there's the Chute. What I do when I'm at Ricketts Glen and we come to this point, we talk about Adams Falls. There's also Kitchen Creek there. They're easy to for the common person to confuse the two, but still, 50 feet. And what I emphasize with regard to the geology of the park is when people come here, there's a bit of a landing there where you can stand and take pictures and so forth. And I just tell people, I am certain when guests come for the first time and they see that waterfall, they say, shoot, that must be sandstone, which, is a kind of a nerd or a geek kind of a thing to say. The Catskill Formation, sandstone, you just can't beat it. If you would like more information, put a plug in for Pennsylvania uh, Geologic Survey website called PAGeode, and that's intentional. More recently, if you notice in the upper left-hand corner, I got to help out with putting the water well and spring search in there. Um, just a load and loads of data. If you want to get a report, if you want to get some images or some maps, help yourself there. somebody with a bright idea came up with a QR code. I don't know why it took us 170 years to think of that one, but we got one now. Um, Back to Ricketts Glen. Something that I do share with people to help them to think more in line with geology is I will show them a series of map layers, GIS layers that are common to us, but maybe not to the audience, just to get them to start thinking about how the topography, the geology results, and where the waterfalls are. So here's your typical topographic map. Um, Make an emphasis on those squiggly lines that are really, really close versus the ones that are spread out a little bit more. That indicates a slope. Then we go and we turn it into LIDAR. And I spend a minute talking about LIDAR, which is light detection and ranging. LIDAR strips away all the vegetation to allow us to better see surface features. After the invention of the laser in 1960, LIDAR was first done using airplanes as the platform for the laser reading. However, it was not until the arrival of the commercially available global positioning system equipment and inertial measurement units in the late 1980s that accurate LIDAR data were possible. So I create an image for them, a real simplified one. Here's an airplane, put a box on the bottom of it, and it shoots these beams. And basically, with the assistance of a table in a room, I'll say, okay, the plane's flying over the distance, and all that instrument is doing is measuring time. Distance to the floor is longer than distance to the table, and that's how we get these. And it does it at a very, very frequent um, amount of time. And so then I assure people that, even while flying, Pennsylvania and a lot of other areas in the world, because it's a laser and it shoots these beams, no little critters were harmed. No bunnies or squirrels or anything like that were harmed. It just goes through the vegetation and we get a nice image. Now, what you do is you take the LiDAR and you lay on top of it the geologic formations at the state park. I haven't moved anywhere. We're in the same spot. Park office hasn't moved. Kitchen Creek hasn't moved. I add the formation names. Now this comes like right off the screen to them saying, oh yeah, that's why the waterfalls are where they're at. Um, I really enjoy doing this because you get those aha moments and they really appreciate what we do. Um, then I'll take them and say, with the same GIS platform, you can determine an elevation profile. So, well, you got to do it at a place like this. So, point A is the park office. Point C is Kitchen Creek Falls, and you run a line across there, and you show the change in topography instead of gesturing like, oh, it's about 1,000 feet, it's a mile long. Now we have some pretty accurate data. We can show them this, and then when we're done with the talk and they go on the hike, they certainly have an appreciation of what elevation is all about. Getting to the park is one thing. You just get in the car, drive. If you reach a change in topography, you either push on the gas pedal or the brake pedal, and you don't really feel it. But when you're hiking this park, you certainly get to feel it. Now, having said that, there are a number of regular people that go there and they run the trail both directions. They'll run all the way down, maybe get some Gatorade, run all the way back up, and then, start looking for protein. Um, Boy, those days are in the past. Okay, so in summary, and of course, now we'll be transitioning to the Stump the Geologist, and I'll have some assistance here with Renee, I'm sure. What I seem to have gathered is there has to be over 345 waterfalls documented in Pennsylvania. They're part of a stream caused by erosion. The result is geology, of course, and another invitation to visit our state parks. And here's a nice shot of Cucumber Falls. Little blurry, but that's how it goes with cell phone pictures. And that should be it. Can we hand it back to our fearless leader?
All right. If you have any questions, put them into the chat, or you may verbally just shout them out here.
Or I can go back to the slide too if you'd like.
I know a couple.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. I'm very curious about what height do you consider a river, a drop in a river to be a waterfall? Because
Yeah, yeah.
I live in
Jared and
Philadelphia
I, Jared and I
and
talked about this before, and that's a very good question. We're so um, our culture and our personalities, we have to put numbers to something or some kind of criteria. And so one day I went on the internet and I said, Google it, like what qualifies as a waterfall, and the answer was 5 feet. And I thought, well, that's not really fair. What if your waterfall is 5 foot 9 or 4 foot 9 inches? Does that not count? Does it not qualify? I was at another state park and they have relatively level terrain. There was a stream going through and there was a break in the stream. It was maybe 7 or 8 inches. And they said, "Look, we have our own waterfall." And I said, "Yes, you do." And then it occurred to me a little bit later that, wow, a licensed professional geologist said we have a waterfall. There we go. Um, but really, I like to, in this case, take a take a step away from the numbers part of it and just go with the wow factor. You're walking along a stream, you come upon a waterfall. Does it give you that sense of wow? Um, Many of the parks that have benches near the waterfalls were built and constructed there just so you could sit and have a view. Some people take pictures. You can sit there and have your lunch. You can hopefully keep the dogs out of the plunge pool, but um, many people go in the woods. I'm probably preaching to the audience here, and they journal. And so it's got to be the water. I'm looking at one of these comments here. Traverse two or more rock layers. Okay, there you go. That is certainly a welcome answer. Someone made the comment in there. I like that. If we're going to have this erosion taking place, it's got to be more than one rock formation because that would weather at the same rate. With two rock formations, one's going to weather more rapidly. So, unfortunately, I can't give you a number, but there are just so many other factors that go into this. Um, Believe it or not, the rock formation on top at um, I just drew a blank here. Niagara Falls. The rock formation at top is limestone. Now, we in southeast Pennsylvania have, quite a few comments to make about limestone with sinkholes and all these other things taking place. Water quality is not so good if you put in a well, some other things happening like that. But, well, limestone's a pretty good rock. In some of the arid areas, it's some of the best building material you can find. So all it has to do, that top layer, is be more resistant than what's beneath it. And then there you go. There also has to be a topographic influence. Um, I'm still searching from some good examples that it's not solely erosion, like some kind of structural influence. I'd like to get some pictures of that, take a look at those things a little more closely. But sorry, if you want to go with the 5 feet, you're welcome to it. If you want to be safe, call it 5 feet 1 inch. I don't know. Um, any other any other thoughts on that?
Got a couple questions there for Renee to read to you.
I see a bunch of chats. Let me open that up. 13 of them. Oh man, must have done a bad job. I only hunt for rocks. That's good. You need to visit Ricketts Glen when other people aren't there. Amen. Um, and
Same with Ohio Pile.
Ohio, but yeah, weekends are, oh man, yeah, yeah, it can
Pretty
get
much
pretty
any
far.
state park.
Well, and okay, like the first year I did Ricketts Glen, my daughter came and we were talking about the glaciers, and I showed a map what the glacier came down, through, and the terminus of it, which is plenty south of the Ricketts Glen Park. And I happened to mention that, the glaciers moved down here from Canada. Well, then when we did the hiking part, we took one of the easier routes because you don't know what kind of shape the entire audience is. Came across a spot, and there was this empty bottle of Canada dried ginger ale laying in the stream, and I was discouraged by it. And I said, I wonder where that came from. And of course, my daughter uh, quickly perked up and she said, well, obviously from Canada, because it was Canada dried ginger ale. Um, but yeah, avoiding the crowds, the trash comes to mind first of all. And then, just some people don't think what they're doing out there. They'll try stunts, maybe rappelling or rock climbing or something in between. But yeah, if you can get out there by yourself, that's terrific. I prefer to run only when chased. Okay, thank you so much. Let the pictures. Would the water slide at Ohio Pile be considered a chute waterfall? We have to talk about which one in particular. Keep in mind the chute looks like a V shape, and the water is gushing through it, almost like a garden hose or a fire hose or something like that. Some of our stormwater management features that were on our design. Um, if there's a continuous flow with some width to it, that's not a chute. I hope that helped out there. Um, are there any waterfalls closer to York and Lancaster counties? Um, maybe Barry Barrett can help, or Jerry or someone. Um, I'm not picking up any per se.
Yeah.
There are some waterfalls along the tributaries that flow into the creek. I mean, into
Okay.
the river.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wildcat Falls
Oh, good. Thank you.
is one. Both sides of the
Yeah.
river from
Yeah. Full disclosure, I didn't visit all 345 that I noted there.
you
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Yeah. Seven Tubs near Wilkes-Barre. Yeah. Yeah. Shahola Falls. Oh, yeah. Right on the mark. Would a waterfall need to traverse two or more rock layers? Yes. There are some beautiful smaller waterfalls on South Mountain. Yeah, there you go. Gosh, I've been there so many times. I should have taken a moment to look
Those
at
would
those.
those would be like Adams, Cumberland, and Franklin County, so it's not too
Yeah,
far from York and Lancaster.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I have a piece of Rockford Dolomite core from American Falls, and no way.
know.
Name me a price, man. Um, I have to give my cardiologist a gift. I could give him something like that. Um, Glacial action. Are there any waterfalls caused by hanging valleys in Pennsylvania? I have to look that up. Oh, you get the prize. Stump the geologist. Do you know the answer, Larry?
I don't, but I have over the years seen plenty of pictures of hanging valleys where there's waterfalls. But I can't think of anything in Pennsylvania, but I do know that glaciers certainly impacted a good part of Pennsylvania.
Right. Yeah. 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 It's just one of those things, maybe not be at the level of fossil collecting, but waterfall searching and visiting, there is a video of people kayaking over Cumberland. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. So, along with not playing in the plunge pool, it's not advisable to kayak over waterfalls. Those, even with one of those little plastic helmets. Um,
Well, you had the picture of Cucumber Falls at the end. It was so flooded that they were able to kayak over it. Of course, then you get into the trees and you've got to get out before you hit the main river. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
people are nuts and
Wow.
there's video of it.
The
Okay, well, there you
the
go.
flooding out
Yeah.
there this spring was pretty crazy, so I
Was
can
it?
imagine. Yeah. Yeah, they back in was it May when we got all that rain, they just got hammered.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this was actually from a number of years ago, but same thing.
Okay. Yeah.
right. Yeah, so I went and took us to the field of Ricketts Glen, but if anybody else has other experiences within the state, um, you're welcome to talk about it.
I moved out of the way here so you can see my waterfall in my backdrop. That's from
There you go.
Tuckanonic State Park in New York, and that falls 200
Oh, yes. Right, right,
that
right.
falls 215 feet. Supposedly
Yeah,
the highest waterfall on the East Coast.
that's right. You were going to mention that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I was just at Letchworth State Park in New York, and they had some amazing waterfalls too.
My son moved up to New York, and that's he's adopted that as his favorite park. So when we living over there, we went to visit him, and he's like, "Dad, you got to come see this." Um, nice trail, nice. Oh man, breathtaking. It
I
definitely
thought
has
I
the
thought it
wow
was
factor.
I didn't realize until I got there that that's where Mary Jameson had ended up. I grew up within half a mile of where she was taken from down here, and then she was, if you don't know the story of Mary Jameson, she was the white squaw, and so she was taken as a young girl by the Native Americans and hiked up into New York. And I didn't realize until I got to that state park that that's where she ended up. So that was kind of a neat connection for me, just having that
Yeah,
little touch of history there. Because I remember my grandfather taking me to the what's left of the foundation of her homestead. So that was kind of neat.
Huh.
right, right.
Can't find it again to save my life, but the stones were there back 40 years ago.
Yeah, terrific. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed it. No disappointments. It was not that much science, but something to be entertaining. Um, Renee, I haven't gotten a call from DCNR about the geology of streams stuff they used to do. Has that kind of died off, do you think?
I think everyone's just so focused on America's 250 that,
Oh,
yeah, if we can figure out how to tie
oh, yeah.
streams into America's 250, like the last 2 years, that has been the sole focus. So, yeah, once we get through this year, you will
That's true.
probably be hearing from DCNR again.
Yeah,
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 actually, that's actually a good idea, like how streams played roles in the Revolutionary War, because they absolutely did.
yes,
You just
yeah.
you just came up with my new program topic. Way to go.
There you go.
There
There you
you
go. Yeah. Well,
go.
certainly transporting, commerce and the whole lumber deal, Williamsport and all that kind of stuff. Transporting goods, I mean, we have a pretty good network. Other states
Yeah.
call us a water-rich state. We have plenty of surface and groundwater, and that was a phenomenal. Well, my wife and I were watching something, one of those Ken Burns things the other night, um, for the Revolutionary War, moving cannons and supplies and everything. The transportation was so much faster on a water course than wagons down a, well, they weren't paved roads, but it was a path. So that could be something. Commercial transportation. Washington Crossing.
Ooh, got a couple new messages in here. I'm just reading.
Yeah, second to Alaska in the number of stream miles. Yep, yep,
Thank you, Mike.
yeah,
Deb wrote about the Washington crossing. Was surprised the Delaware River so narrow.
yeah,
I was imagining if I was imagining Susquehanna River.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, terrific.
All right.
All right, this is my first time event. I'm wondering why I didn't get involved with you guys earlier, but what do you do next when the talker's done?
We just kind of tell a couple of jokes or a couple of announcements, and off we go.
So
And
Jerry tells a bad dad joke, and away we go. Yeah.
Bad dad joke. Yeah, yeah.
I tell the final joke, and then I have to get out of here before I get killed by somebody uh, online there. But all right. Thank
Oh,
you,
so
Tim.
also I a friend of mine who's a carpenter, he built this for me.
Huh.
I don't know how well you can see it, but I take that to classes and I can use the step.
Let's hear. What grade did
Go
the fish receive? Oh, oh,
ahead.
very neat. Not to guy. I was just beating Jerry to the bad joke.
Go ahead,
Oh,
Renee.
go for it.
Go ahead.
What grade did the fish? What grade did the fish receive after the exam? Not very good because it was below sea level. That
Oh,
was a
yeah.
Jerry joke.
Right.
But
Yeah.
did you hear about the new reversible jacket?
Uh-oh.
I'm excited to see how it turns out. Yeah, some people aren't even paying attention, but that's a
No, you got one
okay.
fan.
All right. Well, hey,
Uh-oh, here we go. It's the best thing for a hot dog. What does that mean?
If your dog if your dog develops a fever, you should catch up for him.
Oh,
Best thing for a hot dog.
who had that?
That was Mike Bear.
Oh, oh, I didn't see that. Okay. Mike, do
all
you
right.
tell jokes in school class?
I do.
Do you?
I do. The kids want bad dad jokes,
Oh
so
yeah.
I give them bad jokes at the end of the day.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
I pick on Jerry for them, but they are, one of my favorite parts about him. So
Yeah.
Hey, change gears a little bit in preparation for our Christmas party. If you have any favorite memories, favorite stories, uh, traditions that you do, and you just want to share with the group, we will give you an opportunity to do that during the show in 2 weeks. Or if you're a little bashful about wanting to do that, you can send them to me, and we will share them for you to the group. I'd like to hear traditions and memories and all that kind of stuff. So in addition to what Renee and I are going to put together for you here, give you a virtual Christmas gift. I guess that'll be the to buy goodbye of that show. That'll be the Christmas gift. Like, but anyway, okay. Oh yes, and Sim, I just wanted to let you know people ask me all the time, how did I get started in geology? It was through a science fair project, sixth grade science fair project. I put together a display of rocks and actually just on pretty much only minerals that my grand.
Oh, I thought you were the science fair project.
Well, I could be now, but not when I was in
Yeah.
sixth grade. I was I was perfect in sixth grade, but
Mm, okay.
now about some X number of years older, I'm not so perfect. But yeah, I got first place in the science fair project, so that actually got my dad started as a mineral collector also.
Well, that's pretty cool.
And he became a very good mineral collector. So
Yeah.
yeah, it became a family thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
so anything about Christmassy, bring it with you in 2 weeks. And as a reminder, this show is being recorded. It will be on our website, jonesgeo.us, in about probably less than an hour. You can go back and look at it again. I do see, by the way, that people do go back and look at the videos, which is great. And some are more popular than others. That's fine. And as always, we always have a good time doing this show for you. So um, our little external family here. So Renee, you want to take us out of here?
All right. Well, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Happy preparing for the holidays. Good luck if you're going back out into the woods hunting some more whitetails. And be careful in the slippery roads if we get more snow out there. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay.
See you, everybody. Thank you, Sim, again.
All right.
Thanks again, Sim.
You bet.